So, and just in case, here's the juice: kiwi and apple, green apple. Cheers. Long life and long health to all I ams, light holders, friends, and families in the Kingdom of Canada. By the way, this one is rude, I think, in the Arab world. So I have to remind myself not to use this, I think. So we'll begin. To all I ams, light holders, friends, and families in the Kingdom of Canada, around the world, and planet Earth. Regardless of time, or regardless of the calendar that you use, whether Julian calendar or the Creator's calendar. Some use Gregorian calendar. You would have had your New Year's early this morning and today. For those using Julian calendar and the Creator's calendar, 2021 is nearing its end. It has been filled with many changes, exciting ones, many interesting ones, including my being escorted by the RCMP. I take it that was my annual mental health check, which I was cleared, by the way. It has been an absolute awakening for many of you, beginning with the full realization that regardless of style and structure of government, albeit republic, albeit democratic, absolute monarchy, communism, socialism, etc., etc. In the world, and including Canada, we the people were subjected to tyranny, criminality, and inhumane treatment by those whom they have trusted to be their leaders. Many of you have also realized that friends and families, neighbors, and colleagues, many are driven by money, power, greed, influence, and evil intentions. Many became part of the strategically, methodically, and systematically planned to depopulate planet Earth. Many have begun to realize that they have innocently or unknowingly took part in such inhumane treatment of their friends, families, colleagues, neighbors, etc., etc. As 2021 comes to a close, I would like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you in the Kingdom of Canada and around the world, especially in the Kingdom, who have made Canada, the Kingdom of Canada, an envy to the rest of the world. Many of you have come to realize your sole purpose on planet Earth is to experience self-love and to express love of self, the highest love of all. Further, you have shown that there is no need for a corrupt, criminal, and evil system of governance, regardless of their structure. In the Kingdom of Canada, also, we have learned, and you have learned, that no matter how big or small a problem may be, it's much easier and lighter to carry when the entire kingdom, her people, we the people, are behind you, with you, and standing next to you. While our kingdom's economy was purposely sabotaged and our people intentionally denied medical care, you have come to realize that the entire event was carefully and methodically orchestrated and acted upon by those interested in power, influence, money, and greed. To the we the people of British Columbia in particular, I salute you for your resilience. After the wildfire, you were then subjected to floods, an unimaginable, unnatural disaster was inflicted or were inflicted on you, especially our farmers. Many of you may not have realized, those who are new to this channel, that I have authorized the $5 to $7 billion of economic assistance directly to be given to the homeowners, primary homeowners of the we the people in British Columbia in the fire and flood zones. Rest assured, the money did not come, nor the initiative did not come from those who you think maybe are in control. Such unprecedented act of humanity and assistance to our we the people would not have been possible or would not even be imagined. Perhaps 500 million was I think, was the initial numbers I heard, and an absolute peanuts. And many of you may have read in the mainstream media that $5 billion was given to the province of British Columbia, as I have directed. To the Kingdom of Canada's Armed Forces and Special Forces and our first responders. I would like to express a heartfelt thank you on behalf of we the people of the Kingdom of Canada for your help in the flood search and rescue and repair operation. Again, another unprecedented act of heroism, and the speed and accuracy in which you performed your task is something to be admired by not only Canadians, but people around the world. As I said, we the people of Canada, the Kingdom of Canada, have made Canada an envy of the world. So much unheard that the rescue operations, the repair of our highways and bridges was done in less than 30 days. And the reopening of highways, a task in which I was told could have taken 2 to 5 years, was done and accomplished in less than 30 days. You see, when you take away the nonsense, the I have to check with so and so and so, and I need uh, someone's authorization to do so and to do such and such. When you take away that nonsense and you focus on helping the we the people, you'd be amazed as to what we can do, as the we the people can do. And that's what we have shown, not only to Canadians, but to the rest of the world. Congratulations to our armed forces, our first responders, and to all British Columbians and all the private corporations in the construction industry who came together, as I said, 24 hours a day. Fix it immediately. Not 8 hours a day, not 9 hours a day, 24 hours a day. You'd be amazed as to the work and all of the heavy equipment brought in to fix our highways and bridges and roads. So it is something that you can look forward to as the people of the Kingdom of Canada. That is the speed and accuracy that you can expect moving forward when we take away politics. And as I said, I'm allergic to incompetence and corruption. So I guess it's a very good way to have those allergies, yes? Good to have those allergies. It speeds up the process, we the people benefit, and as I said, supposedly projects that would have taken 2 years to 5 years to fix took less than 30 days. This room is cold. I've lowered the temperature. And as we say goodbye to year 2021, we welcome 2022 with great anticipation, expectation, armed with full realization that finally our beloved Kingdom of Canada and we the people will see peace, prosperity, and once again have dignity and lead the world moving forward, not by the size and might of our military, but of our love, pure hearts, and humanity. Above all, the sense of family within the Kingdom of Canada and extended around the world. So as we enter 2022, we will focus on our economy, the restarting of our oil and gas industry. It has already started. Our mining industry. Remember that Canada, the Kingdom of Canada, has one of the top, if not the top, technologies when it comes to oil and gas and mining industry. We are going to focus on domestic manufacturing and refining of our raw earth resource. There is no point in sending our natural resource, raw materials, somewhere else when we have the technology and wherewithal to do it ourselves. It is pointless to send our natural resources, raw products, and materials to another country, only to be sent back to the Kingdom of Canada and is costing us 100% markup. So we're going to change that nonsense and we will do it ourselves. We are also going to be concentrating on spending our money in Canada by helping our tourism and hospitality industry. Canada also has one of the top high tech, and is one of the nations that has many high tech companies. We're going to focus on our aerospace. Perhaps it's a different technology altogether. Perhaps a different plane. An anti-gravity aircraft, perhaps is the new focus. What about our shipbuilding industry? Perhaps a completely different type of ships that we're going to have. Our fishing and farming industry. And our transportation industry. Why is it that we have to buy our transportation, our trains, our buses somewhere else when we can do it ourselves? We can build it here. Next, as many of you would have expected, is the creation of jobs. Those who want to have jobs, and I'm sure after our cleanup, there will be plenty of jobs available. And the homeless elimination for so many, perhaps since the beginning of 1867, the homeless segment of our population became another industry, perhaps, to many. There's nothing to be proud as a country when you have any one of your citizens, any one of your people staying out in the streets or is hungry. So that's some of our major focus this 2022. And the creation, many of you are waiting for this, the creation of a new medical system delivered by the people who care and are compassionate rather than those attracted by money, power, influence, and greed. Yes, that's your medbeds that will replace the obsolete technologies in the hospitals. And a medical care system that actually heals people rather than kill them slowly by providing drugs that numbs the effects rather than cure the root cause of the ailments. To the finance and banking industry, the Kingdom of Canada will no longer have the old system. So many of you may have heard of the quantum financial system and banking system that eliminates corruption and errors as far as hundreds of millions being sent to different accounts by mistake by certain governments. With the quantum financing, that will be eliminated. Next, I have mentioned this before, is the creation of the Kingdom of Canada's food supply chain to ensure that Canada is self sufficient, that we don't have to import food from different countries. It has been proven that throughout this unusual, pre planned, I won't call it unusual because it's pre planned. So, next is as I mentioned, the creation of Kingdom of Canada's food chain, a supply food chain, making the Kingdom of Canada self-sufficient. Next is the creation of new educational system driven by parents and children and their local communities. It is no longer going to be a system driven by the system to fit what the system needs. So the educational system, I am counting on the parents to step up to help design and the children themselves to design a new educational system that is focused on the children rather than the adults. And of course, we will continue with the clean drinking water. This seems to be a mosquito that likes to, I liken it to a mosquito that only comes late at night and starts biting. Because for the last 3 decades, this problem should have been solved, and it hasn't. But then again,
kind of dizzy.
we do, we fix
Eu já tinha
problems
assistido,
in a matter
mas
of
nunca reparo.
30 days
Agora
rather
que eu
than
reparo.
2 weeks, rather than 2 years or 5 years. So can you imagine how big a problem that might be for some to tackle? No wonder it has taken more than 30 years to fix a clean drinking water issue. Next, this one you guys are going to like. The building of wealth of our we the people via small and medium businesses and those who do not wish to own a business is you will have zero income tax. You see, it's my firm belief that a wealthy population provides less troubles to the government, albeit albeit a very humble Queen Romana Kingdom of Canada. But it is my firm belief that when each one of you is rich, there will be less issue happening in the Kingdom of Canada. So that is why I would like each and every one of you to be absolutely, overflowingly rich.
Wow.
So, as I said, I would like everyone to be absolutely wealthy so you can help one another. And there is less of a burden to the kingdom itself when all of her people are wealthy. Okay? Next, what we're going to do is eliminate the absolutely redundant, useless, duplicated programs that have been created for the last since 1960s. They have been stuck up like this as wastage. They are wastes of money and resources of we the people. And that is why the previous governments in their timeline continued to tax the we the people because they had to sustain all of these useless programs that they've created themselves. So in our timeline, all of that is going to be eliminated. As I said, I'm allergic to a system that creates one job but pays 10 different people. 9 supervising, 1 is working. And you know what I mean when I say 9 supervising. So I'm allergic to that kind of a system. Next is the elimination of the foreign government privately owned tax collection agencies. They might think they are on our timeline. They are not. And they have no contract with we the people and the we the people's government. This one for those in the trades industries are electricians. This has been for decades, thorn in someone's, in the we the people's back is that a trade person, for example, a licensed electrician in British Columbia, cannot work across Canada without having to be licensed in another province, another province, another province. That is an absolute waste of time, money, and resources. So we are going to nationalize the licensing program. So you will only have to take one exam instead of 13 different exams. Okay? To allow you, once you have that national license as an electrician, for example, that will allow you to work across the Kingdom of Canada. Whoever came up with the nonsense that if you are an electrician in British Columbia, you cross to Alberta and you are, or another province, and you are not allowed to work. Isn't it that someone said before a Canadian is a Canadian is a Canadian? Then we shall make it a Canadian is a Canadian. By making it easy for each and every Canadian to find work across Canada. And next will be, and many of you have been asking for the Beam Me Up Scotty technology. A technology that has existed for eons, but suppressed. I've mentioned previously that our transportation across the country will see not a revitalization, but a new technology altogether. One that is not grandiose, but is practical, fast, and efficient to allow for goods and people to travel economically and efficiently from coast to coast to coast. And to make sure that goods and produce from, for example, Nova Scotia, potato, or New Brunswick, or wherever else in the Maritimes, can be transported to British Columbia. And there's also another issue where a potato from the Maritimes cannot be sold in Alberta. Is that correct? Or somewhere else? It cannot be sold, or is it because there is no way of transporting them west to the west? So this is why we have to make sure that we fix our transportation system. You cannot have an economy that you cannot have an economy that blocks its own people from being able to transport their goods. The task of the government is to eliminate hindrance that hinders everything that we the people are doing. The task of the government is to remove and make it easy for we the people to be absolutely rich. How can your people be rich when there's all of that hindrance facing them at each turn? So that is why we're going to dismantle all of these nonsense that have been put in place, preventing we the people from economically succeeding and absolutely wealthy. Next Many of you have seen that my recommendation to increase the seniors' uh, monthly support has been ignored. Funny that the 5 billion went through. We have to do some, I believe, people in certain ministries or departments need to have an attitude adjustments. So 2022, we will see many of these ministries and departments removed and replaced, if not fixed from top to bottom, bottom up. Because you see, we can't have the same people doing the same job that they can't perform. A simple instruction to send money to our seniors seems an impossible task for those people in those departments. Excuse me. Sorry. So next is the readjustments of the financial assistance of our senior citizens. The forever neglected segment of the population, our veterans, our indigenous peoples, our children, and our animals. I found it heartbreaking that somebody from Saskatchewan was playing politics when we were trying to send hay to feed our livestock in that province. So that when I was sitting down and observing how different provinces reacted or cooperated with uh, our efforts to help our livestock in different provinces. It is good that they did that because now we know to eliminate those systematic uh, problems that they have created for we the people. Instead of helping our farmers, they have created blocks to make it very, very difficult for our farmers to buy feed from other provinces. So those are things that we have to change. We're going to be making a lot of changes. Many are going to be painful for those who were used to corruption, bribery, criminality, and everything else. But their timeline is not with our timeline. We are also going to focus on, again, this is a very, very long time coming as far as issues with illegal drugs. It is common sense that unless the system itself supports illegal drugs cannot prosper in any city, in any province, or any country. Yes, food for thoughts. So we are also going to focus on the domestic manufacturing of illegal drugs. Again, these manufacturers cannot exist unless they have been supported by those working in the system. The same as children sex trafficking. These crimes and criminality cannot exist in a system of governance that does not allow for its existence. Regardless of how you slice that, it is the truth, the facts, and reality. The same for human trafficking. None of it can exist without the support of those people working in the system. The same for human organs trafficking. You see, there's a record for everything. As one of the ex CIA officers used to say, or the video I have posted, they know everything. So when there is a will to eliminate child sex trafficking, illegal drugs, domestic manufacturing of illegal drugs, domestic manufacturing of adrenochrome, money laundering, and all of those that I previously listed. Those criminalities and illegalities cannot exist in a system that does not allow it. Next is the illegal immigration, or I call this the underground immigration. Such as those who became citizens of the Kingdom of Canada via deceptive means. For example, tourists who came to the Kingdom of Canada and stayed in the kingdom and gave birth to a child, using that as an anchor baby. Many of you may have heard of it, or probably this is the first time you're hearing it. An anchor baby. A mother comes to Canada, uh, albeit as a tourist or someone, a temporary worker, and then have a baby. And because that baby is considered a Canadian citizen, that becomes an anchor to the entire family to come to Canada. It opens the gate for them to enter and their entire family. And so, under that premise, many people have become Canadian citizens via this deceptive program because of that premise that a child born in Canada of a foreign mother is a Canadian. And this law, so we're going to make a correction, an immediate correction. This law, by royal decree, is effectively null and void. And listen to this, retroactive to the day such deceptive law came into effect. Thus, all anchor children, their parents, and extended family members who then became citizens of the Kingdom of Canada are effectively non-citizens of Canada. This law was passed, signed, and assented by a fake royal, and therefore null and void. So for those of you who have used and abused this loophole, as many people call it, this is not a loophole. This was a deceptively intended law created. And in the Kingdom of Canada, our energies are pure. So there is no room for deceptive citizens or those who obtain their citizenship via deception. Next is our housing. We're going to focus on the devaluation. Yes, you heard me right. Devaluation of an extremely inflated home prices. So you can expect a devaluation of homes from where it is now down to 7 to 5%. We are also focusing on building, refitting, and converting old buildings into residential units for the we the people. And for those in the real estate industry, I have a message for you. Those investors, there is going to be a moratorium on the number of homes that you can buy as an investor. In fact, zero. Until such time that the entire Canadian citizenship, meaning each and every Canadian who needs home and does not have a home, has not yet purchased a home, you as investors in real estate will not be permitted to buy homes. So if you are looking to invest in real estate, I suggest you go in other countries because that will not be allowed in the Kingdom of Canada anymore. Many of you may take this as a shock, You should have expected it from my previous messages that Canada first and Canadians first will always be first. And so it begins with the housing industry. So if you are hoping to buy multiple units, multiple detached homes, when the devaluation of homes takes place, I am sorry to disappoint you, but you will not be allowed. The devaluation allows for the Canadian ordinary people to be able to afford homes. It is not being devaluated so that investors can then go out and buy and hoard the stocks, the inventories of homes. You have that backwards if that's what you were thinking about. It is inhumane to have such a wealthy country as Canada, the Kingdom of Canada, to see someone who's homeless out in our streets. And it is heartbreaking for me to witness, to even hear that we have elders, a senior citizen, walking in the middle of a highway with no home, nowhere to go. So if you think I was not taking notes, I have always seen it, observed it, and is fixing it. So the changes, many people will consider it radical. It'll be radical for those not used to helping other people. But in the Kingdom of Canada, wealth can be accumulated, but done so without harming others. And if you are an investor who is buying 10, 20 different units because you can afford, and someone who's been saving for 10 years, 15 years to buy a home and cannot afford, then something is wrong. So we are going to put a moratorium that no investment homes can be purchased. And also, not only there is a moratorium, foreigners will not be allowed to buy homes in Canada. If you want to buy homes in Canada, you can immigrate properly this time.
I gotta get out of here.
And for those who are still looking for justice, I see sometimes comment of show me, show me. Justice has been served and continue to be served. Look at the people recently being prosecuted, taken to jail, and many executed for crimes against humanity. Many more are facing trials, jail times, and I'm sure death penalty for their crimes against humanity. The mainstream media is beginning to show that the once untouchable people are now having to face justice. So you might be beginning to see, if you haven't already, the mainstream media. As I said, we are changing the narrative, and you are beginning to see that those who have committed crimes against humanity, from top, the very, very top, are having to face justice. And there is no one that is untouchable anymore. As I have mentioned, planet Earth is now under the protection of the benevolent beings. So the human constructs of untouchable, those at the very top, are now seeing that their friends and colleagues are having to face justice. And if you were not paying attention recently to the numbers of people, CEOs resigning from the top 500 companies, those CEOs did not resign by accident or by early retirement. At least that's what I'd like you to see or believe. So, this is the video, the length of time that I had recorded earlier. I'm at the end of my speech, and I now wish you, each and every one of you, in the Kingdom of Canada and around the world. As I said, regardless of the calendar that you use, Gregorian calendar, Julian calendar, or the Creator's calendar, year 2021 is coming to end. And I wish you a happy and a very holy experience and a very holy New Year 2022. And I welcome all of your assistance, all of our Good Samaritans, and all the IMs that have helped, and our volunteers around the world that have helped in making Canada, the Kingdom of Canada, an envy of the world, and as a shining example of what the we the people can do when they all work together. And since many, many months, regardless of the challenge, albeit helping someone pay for their bills with their animals or their own rent or food or feeding our livestock. Big or small, the challenge was met. And many times we even have surpluses in terms of the donations given to those in need. So, for those who may think you haven't made uh, a change during 2021, you have. You have consciously shifted the energies in the Kingdom of Canada and around the world. But your mere actions and dedication to helping one another, including protecting and feeding our livestock. And there is nothing that can be more proud as an example to the rest of the world than what you guys have done in the Kingdom of Canada. I remember saying many months ago that the Kingdom of Canada is the template for what is to come to the rest of the world and planet Earth. And so the rest of the world has been watching. And they are carefully observing how Canadians have managed to shift the governing system without violence and without force. There's nothing more so powerful than the we the people of a nation changing and creating their flag. The very, very emblem, freedom and self-determination is the Kingdom of Canada's flag. There's nothing so powerful than to have a flag that says, God loves you. And for the children to look up and to be reminded, and even the adults to be reminded that God loves them is so powerful beyond anyone can possibly imagine. God loves you carries a very, very high energy, vibrational energy. And that is why many of you, your cats and your dogs, like to go underneath the flag because they can sense the energy, the vibration. And you will also notice that they're not scratching it or trying to pull it down as other items that you would hang, and then your cat would go and try and pull it down. In this case, the flag, your cats try to touch it or sit underneath it. That's because they can sense the energy that it's emitting. So I will say good night to you all and happy 2022. Be safe and continue to stand up for your rights. And congratulations to all of you who have or are entering year 2022 with your DNA intact and your blood type pure. And I'm sure many of you understand what I meant when I said congratulations, when I said your your bloodline, everyone, and I will bid you all good night. This has gone on for a long, long time. So thank you all for coming to this live, unexpected, unexpected live streaming. I had not planned, but God, the Grandmaster Creator, had a better plan for me to see all of you live rather than you guys watching the video. So, thank you. And good night, everyone.